If you are currently struggling to make sales with your print-on-demand t-shirt business, it's not your fault. It took me 3 full years of designing t-shirts before I started seeing any kind of traction. And it took me another 5 years before that traction turned into real consistency that I was able to scale. But the good news is that you don't have to wait 5 years or even 3, because what we've learned is a distilled formula that we are able to copy paste into any print-on-demand niche. And better yet, once you have this formula, you're able to give it to ChatGPT along with the prompts you're going to see today to have it be immediately applied to your niche so you can start creating consistent designs that have real potential to sell. So by the end of this video, you're going to have the formula that will allow you to break out of creating just surface level designs and start creating print-on-demand designs that actually sell. Because when I was making my first batch of designs, and let me know in the comments if this is relatable for you, but it felt a lot like this, just throwing spaghetti at a wall and just hoping that something would stick. And it was just ripe with guesswork, trying things completely at random, and hoping or praying that something would end up getting a sale. And obviously, none of these are any kind of formula or repeatable process. So first, a crucial piece in being able to apply this formula is understanding what makes great designs by comparing it to what makes a bad design. So what I mean is that 99% of sellers design like this. They do basically no research or bad research, so they don't know who they're talking to or where the market currently is. Then they have very few things that they're actually able to apply to their design process. And this is kind of like if we were going to leave a review about a movie after only seeing the trailer. Like, yes, we know the general gist and maybe the topics that are going to be covered, but we have no in-depth knowledge of what is actually going to happen and the journey that that movie is going to take us on, which is crucial for being able to leave a relevant review. The same thing applies to t-shirts. When we do surface level research, we only give ourselves the ability to create surface level designs. And we're going to see how this design formula basically conquers all of this research legwork for us in just a second. But first, we also have to understand that when we approach solving it in this way, it leads us to apply even less of the information, like going to the gym once and then wondering, why we're not fit. And this always leads us to creating shallow surface level designs, such as this one, which is for the cooking niche or for chefs. And yes, it does get some of the points of what a chef would like, but it really misses the mark in several crucial ways that we're going to be covering in just a moment. And the trickiest part about this that it took me the first 3 years to realize is that the audience picks up on that, and the audience notices when designs are surface level, which is kind of like in school growing up when, sometimes you might show up without doing your homework and then you get a pop quiz, and as the teacher is reviewing your answers, they can clearly tell you didn't do your homework. You don't know what you're actually talking about. And while you kind of came in with maybe I can fudge this and just mail it in and they won't notice, they always noticed. And then most sellers end up just repeating the cycle again and again, which leads ultimately to frustration and then finally burnout. So a quick checklist that you can run through anytime you're making designs to make sure that you are not committing one of these mistakes is, first, don't pack your designs with lots of tiny text. We have 1.7 seconds for somebody to review our design, or ultra fine details that get lost when printed. And hardly ever do we want to use more than 6 to 8 colors, unless if we are going with a very specific type of print style, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And finally, we don't want to assume that any buyers are ever going to zoom in to really take the time to understand the intricacies of the design we just made, because they simply won't. And like this design, we also don't want to fill every inch of the 15 by 15 print area and stacking the design elements so tight that they all blend together. And we also don't want to forget about the product that we're actually selling on, which is a t-shirt, meaning we want to let the t-shirt show through, and this is something called negative space. Instead, we want to use a formula that has been tested and proven across hundreds of niches and thousands of products and millions of dollars in sales. And in the wise words of SpongeBob, ravioli, ravioli, give me the formula. So now let's break down the 3-step design equation that has resulted in way more winning designs than I have seen come from any other design approach. And step one of the design equation is the print press, which this was something that I didn't even take into account for years and years. So let's break it down. So the print press or print style is how the graphic design actually goes on the t-shirt. Whoops, big pen. So we want to think of this like physically, like the t-shirt being made in the manufacturer. What is the machine style that is actually translating the design onto the shirt itself? So even though we aren't physically doing this, it really helps image generators to understand what we're looking for when it comes to the graphic design. So here's a list of all the different possible print styles. And I know it looks like a lot. The good news is we ignore most of these, but there's everything from plastisol screen print, water-based screen print, discharge print, puff ink, high density 3/3D, crackle/vintage or distressed, foil transfer, glitter/shimmer ink, glow in the dark, CMYK, which we just call screen print, simulated press, or DTG. Now, DTG and screen print are the two most common forms of creating print-on-demand designs, along with this last one, which is DTF, direct to film. And we're going to see exactly how we apply this to the designs we're creating in just a second. But first, this is obviously not every print style known to man. There's a ton of them out there. So you're able to check out what print style is popular in your store's region or the niche that you're selling in. So for example, what press styles are typically used in Japanese style tees? Then what press styles are used on Egyptian graphic tees? There's the first tip of the iceberg of what we're going to be covering. Now, print press may feel similar to step number 2, but it is really different. And understanding the difference between the two is one of the biggest keys in how this whole formula works. So the step 2 of the design formula is the design style. And this is one that the majority of print-on-demand sellers start with, but here's how we actually incorporate it. So this is the art style of the graphic design. Here's a list of the hottest t-shirt art styles in 2025. So there's Y2K, minimalist, metallic, retro 70s to 90s vintage, punk, surreal dreamscape, naturecore, 8-bit/pixel art, whimsic gothic revival, that's a mouthful, solar punk eco-futurism, that's another mouthful. So this is definitely not all of them. And also these are in a wide variety of niches. So we're going to see how we can target this down for your niche in just a second. But what I recommend doing is asking ChatGPT for a full breakdown on different art styles that look great on t-shirts, specifically within your niche. And this is a hint because we don't want to be creating generic graphic designs. That's what a lot of beginners end up with. The whole goal of this formula is to map out all of the possible variations in each one of these categories and then have the AI work in our favor to sift through all of that within the context of our niche specifically. So step 1 is the print press, step 2 is the design style, and then step 3 is the mood of the design. And when we combine all 3 of these together, that creates the winning design formula. Now, what I mean by mood is what we want someone to feel when they look at our t-shirt. And so if you think about why people buy t-shirts, they're really not buying it for the t-shirt or even for the design at all. What they are buying is how it makes them feel when they put it on. They're buying the reactions that they get from their friends and family, like the laughs or what it says about them and their personality. That's what people are really buying. And so here, there's lots of different moods that we could go for. We could go for funny, sarcastic, irreverent, punny, whimsical or cute, snarky, motivational, empowering, nostalgic, geeky/fandom, dark humor. The list goes on and on. But what I really want you to take away from this is that each one of these, if you take it outside the context of a t-shirt, the reason this is so impactful is that these are really just emotions or characteristics of people. Like people can try to be snarky, they can try to be motivational, they can try to be empowering or nostalgic, or maybe they consider themselves geeky. So the reason that this works is that we are getting away from just what is it that we're slapping on the t-shirt, and we're really focusing in on who is the person who's going to be wearing it and what is the value they're going to get out of the product that we're creating. Because again, people don't buy t-shirts. They buy how it makes them feel when they put it on. And so I know like these are all great. It's a big list and I can see how the three of them could kind of work in tandem, but I'm just not sure which combinations of these three actually make the best t-shirts. So how do we figure it out? I'm glad you asked. Answer: we let our competitors tell us. This combines, we could even call this the fourth step in the design formula, but we see where the market already is. And we see how have our competitors been utilizing each of these three areas in their designs. And good or bad news is that a lot of times they're not creating the designs this intentionally. They've just had to do thousands and thousands of variations until they find something that kind of hits the mark. But when we break it down further, almost all of their best sellers have nailed this three-step equation. Now, how do we let our competitors tell us? Because obviously if we reach out to them via email, we would get some pretty funny replies if they've replied at all. But good news is we don't need them to actually tell us. Instead, we simply take a list of our competitors and ask ChatGPT to do a print press, graphic style, and mood analysis on these brands, or if there's a specific design that you have in mind. And if you're not sure how to find a list of your competitors, that's another simple ChatGPT prompt. You simply say, I am a print-on-demand graphic t-shirt or whatever product you're selling, t-shirt seller in the blank niche. So yoga, history tees, golf, for this example, in the golf niche. And I want you to find a list of the top 10 competitors across Etsy, Amazon, and Shopify. Then one by one, don't do them in bundles, do them one by one so you get ChatGPT's full response for each. You ask it to do this analysis. And then what it's going to find is for the graphic design style, they were using hand-drawn cartoon line art. And they were using limited colors with high contrast palettes. So 2 to 4 colors, hand-drawn graphic tees. And then for the mood, they were focusing on more irreverent or self-deprecating copy. So they're not doing anything motivational or inspirational. They're going the other way. They're doing more sarcastic, self-effacing type humor. And they were also using punk, emo, and skate culture tropes. So right here, this paints a picture for us of, without even looking at their site, what their designs look like, what's the general mood that they're going for in the designs, and then finally, what's the print style? Like, how is it actually getting on the shirt? And now at this point, you can either ask ChatGPT to outline a formula for you, so then you can copy paste it and use it in future chats, or you can just continue the thread of the conversation. So in this example, I said, make me an example graphic design in their style. So just referencing the conversation we had above. And I'm thinking of a shark with a cigar hanging out, wearing sunglasses. Yeah, it's not even, didn't even spell it correctly, with some kind of shark reference underneath the golf cart. So bunch of generic ideas kind of thrown in there. And this is what it came out with, which is capturing the high contrast colors. It's using the hand-drawn art style. And then to make it capture the, self-effacing humor element of it, we add in the T-Thrasher text. So this design on a t-shirt captures the negative space. It's a relatable phrase for the golf niche, and it nails all of the elements from the design formula that we saw working on one of our competitors. And the cool part is you can even use it to create your brand name and logo. So from using the design formula, it came up with, that's not the logo. It came up with Shank to Left, which is self-effacing because it's play on words. It's punny for the golf niche, implying that they're not a very good golfer. And it uses the same art and print styles and mood that we saw working for the competitors. And again, this one came from the same exact chat thread saying, make another funny design using this formula. And it came up with Gator Country Club. And the reason that this one is funny, if you're not in the golf niche, this brand would actually be perfect for me. I'm not very good, but basically when you're not good, it ends up in the water a lot and it ends up getting eaten by the gators. So from using this formula, you now have an equation to ensure that you're not creating bad designs that nobody is interested in. They will really connect and they will be represented using the format and the print style that really resonates with your audience. And hopefully it goes without saying, but as powerful as this formula is, it's not a silver bullet. There's no such thing as that. All that there is 1,000 golden BBs, to quote Alex Hormozy. And using this formula, like everything else, is a skill. So what I recommend doing is practicing with it, building it into your current design workflow, and comparing the outputs that you get using this formula with what you were already getting. And in my case, it was a absolute night and day difference and helped bring a lot of consistency to the designs that I was creating. And last but certainly not least is the way that we print all of these, and to make sure that we are doing everything in our favor to be as profitable as possible, we need a fantastic print partner. And that is why I'm super grateful for today's sponsor, which is Printify. And Printify is the company that I have personally used. Oh, there's their name. There we go. Printify is the company that I've personally used for the past at least 5 or 6 years for all of our print-on-demand fulfillment. And that is after I've worked with every possible partner under the sun. The reason I highly recommend, and I only talk about partners that I've personally used and still use to this day, is because Printify offers us the best possible margins from what I've been able to find. The reason that this happens is that unlike other print-on-demand platforms where they have all the fulfillment, what Printify has done is really quite beautiful. They've brought all of the best printers from all around the world into one platform and given us, the consumer or the seller, the option to choose between them, which what this does is not only gives us an amazing product catalog to choose from, global distribution, but most importantly, it allows us to choose who has the best pricing, who has the best shipping times, who has the best quality. And Printify does the heavy lifting for us and rates all of them. So it's super easy for us to see that if we're selling t-shirts, who are all the possible people we could choose and who has the best quality and shipping speeds that align with our brand. So I highly recommend checking out Printify, and you can use discount code WeScale for a free month of Printify Premium. And also, if you want to get access to this board, you can get it completely for free just by clicking the link down below to review the design formula at your own pace. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.